Welcome everybody to a Geek Must-Have Postbag. Got a number of packages today. Got a package from Adafruit and a couple of packages from China and a couple of packages from Amazon. So we'll go through these packages and find out what's in them. The first package is from Hongcheng Chao from the Guangdong province in China, the Longgang district, Shenzhen city. And it says soldering iron pen on the outside. So I know there's at least a soldering iron pen in here, but there's a couple of other things in this package that I've been looking forward to. Let's open it up and find out. Alright, this first item looks like a hunk of plastic. It is a soldering pad. It's a heat-resistant soldering station. It's a desk mat. It's a soldering iron, and it's small enough that it will fit inside of my tool bag. It's just a little place to be able to do soldering on, in case you're at some location where they don't have a soldering station per se. This is like a portable soldering station. Heat resistant, kind of rubbery silicone-like material. The other item in this bag is a duplicate of the USB powered soldering iron, the 8-watt soldering iron that is has a touch control on it, that you touch it and it stays on for about 30 seconds. You can do soldering with it, and I had quite a bit of luck with the first one that I got, so I decided to have another one to put in another one of my kits. The next box comes from Mr. Fu of Shenzhen, Guangdong, China, and it says sensor on the box. I think I know what it is, but I'm not really positive. Customs duty tape on it. So there's this tape that you can probably see it's got like a hologram on it. No idea if that means customer looked at it or they just stuck the stamp on there. All sorts of goodies in this one. All in static bags. That's a pretty good sign. Let's put all this stuff aside and open them up one at a time. Let's start with this one. This is, I think this is some type of power adapter. The next item appears to be something with an ESP8266 on it. This is a ESP8266 Web Sever serial Wi-Fi expansion shield. So this is an expansion shield that plugs on top of an Arduino. Probably can go on any one of a number of Arduinos. And it gives Wi-Fi capabilities and web server capabilities. I believe it has a 5 to 3.5 volt TTL level converter to prevent any damage to this, because usually the 8266 device right there runs at 3 volts, and 5 volts is usually the voltage coming in. There's a ESP reset button right here and a handful of dip switches. I think I purchased this because I had a couple of Arduinos. I wanted to have Wi-Fi capabilities, but I also wanted to be able to do some development. I'm pretty sure that the next two items were purchased together. This is a Mega 2560 R3 board and a 3.2-inch TFT LCD module. I think it's blue with yellow characters on it. Let's open these up and take a look. I've never had 2560 Mega Arduino before. And the reason to get these is kind of obvious, is that there are a lot more GPIO pins on that. See, there's all the pins along here, a double set along the back, and a set along here. It takes a standard power connector programmed with USB, or has a USB connector to do the programming on it. It's known as a Mega 2560 because it's got mega ports on it, I guess. Little TFT board that goes on top of this. This is 3.2-inch TFT LCD module. It's 320 or 480 by 320, and it appears to have SD slot on the back here, full-size SD slot. Put an SD card in, and the pair of these were sold together. I don't know what I bought this for. I think I bought it because it was a deal and I didn't have any touch screens available. Some of the pins came a little wonked up right there. Not necessarily very well constructed or very well assembled. As it says here, this is a HVGA 480 by 320 3.2 inch TFT LCD shield for an Arduino Mega 256, and that's the SD card. The next two items were sold as a pair. 1 inch, I'm going to be precise, 0.96 inches, either I2C. It's 128 by 64 pixels, and it's blue and yellow, and it's an OLED LCD display module. This can be used on the Arduino and a couple of other items. It has a couple of ways that it can be used. It has a great features that you can use it either as a character display or addressable by the individual pixels. It is very, very small, doesn't take very much power, and has pretty good viewing angles, so you can be to the right or the left of it, still be able to read this. Works with either 3.5 volts or 5 volts, and I bought a pair of these for a couple of power control modules that I want to build, and I want to put these on the surface. The next item on the list is a USB 2 to a TTL adapter with some Dupont cables included. Yeah. For those Arduino devices and other devices that don't have USB on them to be able to program them, this takes the USB and turns it into TTL, and then the TTL hooks up to the board and you can use this to do the programming, and it comes with a set of standard Dupont cables. This is to support some of the other items that came in this post bag. The next item is a pretty simple item, a bunch of 9 volt to 2.1 millimeter adapters. Basically hook a 9 volt battery up to that, and then you can plug this into an Arduino or something else that needs 9 volts. The next item is a set of 5 of these 2-channel I2C logic level converters. They're bidirectional, 5 volts to 3.5 volts. A lot of times you're dealing with circuits that have logic circuits on them that are one voltage that you need to convert to another. These little tiny logic level converters are great for being able to do that work. They each come with a set of headers that you can solder onto them. These are pretty basic, but they're good to have available. The next item, I think, so this is an AT Tiny. From what I understand, it's a DigiSpark Pro, Kickstarter type device. While it is very, very small, it's fairly powerful in the sense of what it can do. You can use the Arduino IDE to program this. USB programmed. It's actually got a little miniature USB port on the side, so you can use that to program it or to emulate a USB device. It's a 16 megahertz microprocessing unit. It comes with a little tiny crystal. A little difficult to see right there. Little tiny crystal, 16 megahertz crystal. Comes with 16 kilobytes of memory. I do remember my first computer having 5 kilobytes, and the upgrade was at 5 more to make it 10 kilobytes. It has 14 I/O pins, 12 if you don't include the 2 that are shared with the USB. It's got 3 pulse width modulated pins. It's got a little onboard button, a little tiny button there. That can be used as a reset or a user button. It comes with a 5 volt regulator built into it, and can run on 5 volts or 6 to 12 volts, so you can run this on a 9 volt battery. It's an AT Tiny 167. The only reason why I got this is because I wanted to play with one of these very small Arduino-like cards to find out what could be done with it. I'll have to solder the pins on the bottom and turn this into a breadboard card. It's a little tiny AT. These are like $4. $4 for a 16 kilobit computer. I remember the computer that I worked on 40 plus years ago was $80,000 in 40-year-ago money, which was a lot. And the last item in this package is a Doesn't say on the bag, but take a look at it. It is probably, yep, Pro Micro AT Mega 32U4 board. Runs on 5 volts. It's 16 megahertz. It kind of emulates the Leonardo Arduino board, only in a much smaller form factor. It does have a small USB port on the end. If I remember correctly, this one here was the latest version of the board, and they put a fuse and a diode to protect the power circuit so you wouldn't blow things up, because these were pretty easy to blow up. There's a voltage regulator on here, so you can power this with up to 12 volts. 12 digital I/O pins, 10 ADC pins, analog to digital converter pins. This can also be programmed using the Arduino IDE. I got this one as a companion to the previous one so that I could play with some of these little tiny Amiga boards to find out how they worked. Those AT Mega boards. That was a lot of goodies in one post bag. Yep. They're all in their static proof pouches. Some of these are going to be pretty interesting. I expect to learn a lot from them.